It's picking up on my aux, but on my mic, but
right, I'm seeing some viewers pop in here. Let's see who we've got. Got a couple of viewers on YouTube. I don't see any. Oh, a couple peeked in and then left on Facebook. Hopefully they'll come back. Alright, so it looks like I've got a few in on Facebook. If you want to pop in on the comments and ask a question, that's great. Hopefully we'll get some more coming in on Facebook as well. I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Dave. I'm with Dave Fackrell. I live in Idaho. And I do DF puppets. And it's an Etsy shop. I can post that link a little later, or if you can also find it there on Etsy, also on my Facebook page. And we're going to take a look at this guy. So, oh, I see Christy. I see Phil the Puppet Boy on there. So, that's good. On YouTube. So, just going to get him in the camera here. This is my prototype that I've got going so far. I've got the head going with eyes, mouth, and I've got it sewn to the body. And you can see on the bottom end here, I've got it sewn down in here like this. And that's about as far as I've got, but he looks pretty good so far. I'm going to switch over to another camera here. There, that way you can see him down here. I can put him down here and we can show you a couple of things. So there's his head. You got his eyes with some adhesive felt on there. The eyes are cast plastic. Ordered that off of Amazon. The mouth here, most of that is all felt. And that's as far as I've got. Pretty much on there. I'm going to put him on a stand here. I've got some stuffing in his head right now just to give him some volume. And then you can see the transition back here. It's kind of twisted up because kind of weird on the stand. But I still have to do his collar, his arms, and his legs. And like I said, this is a prototype. I'm building this one to work out all the kinks and do all the problem solving, and then I will get going with some better fabric. The green fabric I've used on this one is some green fleece from Joann's that I got as a remnant, I believe. And it's pretty close, but it's not quite the right color. And you can still see all the seams and stuff in it. But here's the head that I've started in the fleece fabric that I got from Puppet Pelts. It's just pinned up right now. But if I unpin this, you can see it's a little more fuzzy. It'll be a lot easier to hide the seams, and it's a little bit different, a little bit darker green there. Let's see. Oh, I got somebody on Facebook too here, looks like. So, hello, happy to see ya. Phil the Puppet Guy says, love your puppets. Good, thank you, thank you. So, like I said, if you got any questions, pop them up in the chat. I'll see if I can get to them there. Should see them there. And I'm going to get some fabric out here and start. And I'm going to, let's see here, get the right stretch going. Yep, there we are. I'm going to show you my patterns that I use a little bit here. There's the fabric pattern for the head that I used. And if you search the web, you can find them. They're kind of scattered. You get it in pieces here and there, which is fine because he is an owned copyrighted property, so they're not going to, have a pattern readily available out there for you. This is the arm one I'm going to do here. Yeah, there we are. Let's see. And I'll just show you a couple more. That's some sections of the foam body pattern. That's for the fabric mouth plate. For the foam mouth plate. There's his collar pattern. I'll unfold all that. I've got another color of felt that I'm going to use for the collar and the feet and things like that. But yeah, and there's a leg. The leg pattern right there. I haven't cut out his feet pattern, the pattern for his feet yet. That's a little farther down the road there. And like I said, once I get this prototype done, get all the kinks and the problems worked out, get all the problem solving done, then I'll move on to this fabric. You can see the color difference there a little bit. Especially if I show you the right side here. It's a little bit darker. And let's just see. Looks like we got another person popped in on Facebook there. That's good. So, yeah, here's what I did the eyes with. It's just some black felt, It's adhesive back, so you can just peel it off and then stick it on there when you get it cut out. Let's see here. Alright, looks like the correct side. And I'm going to just start tracing out his arms here. Oh, looks like my wife said hello there. Yeah, what's a good color Sharpie to use here? That one I can see. Okay. And I'll pin my pattern in so it doesn't move while I trace it. And I'm just using a Sharpie here that I can see on this side of the fabric. And I'm going to mark myself a little bit of seam allowance because I'll probably sew it on the sewing machine. Let's see how that looks. Yep, there it is. And I got to do 2 of these. So I'll do another one right here. Christy asked, do I have a punch for the eyes? No. I pretty much did those with an X-Acto knife. It was kind of a pain in the butt, but I did it. I got them done. It worked out. It'd be nice if I had a punch for it or a laser cutter or something like that, but I don't. So yeah, my wife says, don't forget to like and subscribe, and good thing your wife likes colorful pens. Yes. Colorful Sharpies always makes things fun. Alright, that one's being a little weird. The fabric's bunching up on me. Let's see. Yeah, not too bad there. I think this Sharpie might be drying out a little bit. Yeah, Christy says they look really nice. I guess meaning the eyes. Uh, yeah, if you have a good sharp X-Acto knife, you can do it. You just have to be real careful with it. Hey, it's a green, not so good. Maybe make those lines a little more visible. Oh, that one's darker. Much better. Okay. Now this is the fun part. We have a rotary cutter here. Need to be very careful with those. They're nice and sharp. I have cut myself with it on more than one occasion. Tried to slice off the tip of my finger once. It was not fun. Still have some nerve damage there. But it gives you good clean cuts. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to just cut these out. Like I said, I marked a little bit of seam allowance there so I can sew it on the sewing machine. Okay. I'm trying to stay under the camera when I do it here and also not, slice off any appendages. So on the fingers, I don't really need a seam allowance. I can the thumbs there. All right. some seam allowance there. Cut that. And there's one arm that's ready. Let's trim up that thumb a little bit there. I'll just pin it together so it's ready to sew. And we should be good. I'm going to even up some thumbs here. There we go. And that one's ready to sew. I'll just sew it right up this seam right there. And we'll go for this one. Let's see. I see we have one or two on Facebook, but I haven't seen any comments or anything like that coming through. Put my scraps over there. See how everything matches up. Close. I'll have to trim it down and make it work there. And just pin it with enough room so I can run it by the sewing machine when I do that. There we go. So they're pretty much matching. Because if you've seen pictures of Kermit's fingers and thumbs and stuff, they're pretty skinny. So once I do the wire pieces for that, it'll just be glued together. On that, as skinny as it is, you won't be able to sew that. Let's see, so there's both of his arms ready. Okay. Set those over there. I get some more fabric out here. Alright, I want to get the right spot. Not the stretchy part. That's the stretchy part. Make sure you always check your stretch before you trace any patterns or cut them out. I'm going to go ahead and trace out his leg patterns here. My wife texted and said that Christy's husband wants him to have fangs. And I do remember on the episode of The Muppet Show with Vincent Price that they did give him fangs in one skit there. And turned him into a vampire. It was kind of funny. Let's see, I probably ought to pin this guy down a little bit so he doesn't move. That's better. Just flip it over so I can get it the opposite way there. Pin it back down. Yeah, I saw that. All right. Again, I'll mark myself a little seam allowance here for the sewing machine. I usually do about a quarter to a half inch. Kind of eyeball it, but and time for the good old rotary cutter again. Remember, always be careful with these guys. They're really sharp. there's anything. Any other comments going on? Nope. But we'll just keep going. Like I said, if anybody's got any other questions or anything. This is the top where it's going to get sewn onto the body, so I don't need any seam allowance on the top. Straighten that out. Okay. And I'll pin these up. Sometimes instead of pinning, I might use some of these guys to clip it. It just depends on the situation. My wife picked these up. They're really cool. There's one. And I don't know how interesting this is to people who just watching me cut things out and pin them up to get them ready to sew, but it's all part of the process there. So there's the two legs. So I've got arms and legs both ready to sew there. And let's see here. And this is the felt fabric I picked up mainly for his collar and for the bottoms of the feet. And if I remember right, I found it on Amazon. There it is. It's called Spring Tickle Yellow Green. keep that label. So this is just a felt. It's not very thick, but it should work pretty well for his collar. So and there's the collar pattern. There's some folds in there. I might see if I can avoid those when I cut it. Yeah, it looks like for this felt, this is the good side, the side that we want out to be visible. This side, not so much, it's more rough, looks like. So this will be a good side to trace the pattern on. And if anybody's curious about my patterns that I'm using here, I find them on most of them online, or a lot of the Kermit stuff you find. There's one you can find where somebody else did a Kermit replica, and he did a lot of hand drawn stuff, nothing real exact, but he gives the measurements. And so I use those measurements. I have there's a free vector drawing program that you can download called Inkscape. And using the measurements and drawing it out on there, using the Inkscape program, get it nice and clean and good straight lines, good curved lines on there. And then I'll print it out and then cut it out with just a pair of scissors, cutting things out like you did in kindergarten. But I will use Inkscape to make most of my patterns. That way I've got them saved on my computer as well, in case these get damaged, too worn out. I can just print another one. And also, if anybody's curious about me sharing my patterns or selling them. Uh, most of the time I generally don't. I have one pattern on my Etsy store right now for a duck puppet, one that I built for my middle son Gavin. And I designed that pattern and decided to put that one up. But the others I usually won't, especially the Kermit one I'm probably not going to share. Again, because he's a licensed character, and I don't need Disney breathing down my back or anything like that. They probably wouldn't notice or care, somebody as small as me, but better to be safe than sorry. Let's see. I've been going for just over 45 minutes here. I'll probably wrap it up in another 15 or so, maybe sooner. And then those who didn't see it live can go back and rewatch it later. Me cutting stuff out and all that. I know it's super interesting. Okay. And I've always wondered about Kermit. If this collar is considered as a piece of clothing or if it's part of his body. You don't see many frogs with a big old pointed collar like this, so maybe it's just decorative for him. Who knows? But Kermit's always been a favorite character of mine. Always been a Jim Henson fan ever since I was a kid. My family would watch The Muppet Show. I watched me some Sesame Street growing up when Kermit was on it. And if any of you get the chance, have Disney Plus. I would recommend watching the Jim Henson documentary. The new one that they have on there is really good. And I don't know if you hear the cat meowing in the background. He's being a cat, being obnoxious. I'm thinking about cutting with the rotary cutter. It gives you nice clean cuts. You just have to be careful you don't cut too far. And also watch your fingers. Almost done with the collar here. There we go. And now we'll just see. That's going to look pretty good on there. And so what I'll do when I do the collar is I'll sew it to the neck like this, and at the same time sew that the neck to the inside of the body there, so it looks nice and clean. Ramona says the collar is a piece of clothing. That's what Christy says. Okay. She also says, I thought it was cool that Jim Henson and Fred Rogers went to school together. I didn't know that. So. Alright. I'm going to kick back over to my front cam here. So, like I said, I'm going to pull some things. Take me just a second here. See, now his head is a little floppy because I pulled all the stuffing out of it here. But if you watch the documentaries, you see that Kermit doesn't have any foam structure in his head. It's all just your hand inside the fabric there. So if I can get him in the frame here. Hi-ho! Okay. I have to work on my Kermit voice too. Let's see. So I think that'll probably be about it for today. Looks like I've, been going for almost an hour. Let's see if there's any more comments or questions. See if anybody's got any more questions before I sign off, or if you want to see if any of my other puppets before I go. I can grab a couple and show them to you real quick if you'd like. I'm not seeing. But there's one I do need to show you. I want to show you this one before I go, so hold on just a second here. especially after yesterday. I'm just going to show this guy off a little bit. This is old Joe. You know, looks a little sleepy like he should, but he's I made him last year. He's a ventriloquist style puppet. The arm goes in through the back, although I've also got an entry hole on the bottom, so he can be performed that way as well. But he's got full body. He's got arms. If you see up here, legs. There's his feet. The shoes, full suit, tie, all of that. You know, I just have to slick down his hair every now and then. And this hair sheds quite a bit, so. But he was a fun one to build. My wife wants me to do a Joe impression. My impressions aren't that good. You know, I think the impression might just be him falling asleep or something there, but or maybe I should make a little ice cream cone for him or something. Anyway, again, looks like I'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Kick back over. We got the collar done. That's going to go on him like that. I cut out arms and legs. And so once I get all those sewed up, then it'll be a lot of hand sewing to put everything together. So have it. My wife says have Joe sniff Red Riding Hood's hair. I do have a Red Riding Hood puppet, my original Red Riding Hood that I made about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, that would be interesting. Be kind of funny. Maybe I'll do some videos on that. So, all right, well, thanks for those that tuned in. If you watch it later, well, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.